Listen up for a sec because this one's got weight. We all carry things, heavy stuff. Words we shouldn't have said, things we should have done, regret that clings to the back of your throat when it's quiet. You know what I mean. The past, it's a tricky little beast, always lurking, always whispering, you messed up. But here's the deal. The past ain't a prison unless you let it be. See, forgetting the past doesn't mean pretending it never happened. Nah. It means you stop letting it own you. It means you take that fire, those mistakes, that heartbreak, and you don't sit in the ashes. You rebuild, you grow, you take the lesson, and you leave the wound. That's real power. You don't got to erase your story. You just need to stop rereading the chapters that don't serve you anymore. Let it go, not out of weakness, but out of strength. Because when you let go, you make space. Space to breathe, space to rise, space to write the parts of your life that actually matter. Every stumble taught you something. Every burn made you wiser. So yeah, you might have been broken, but now you've got edges sharper than steel. And there's beauty in that. There's power in the fact that you kept going. So stop digging up what's already buried. Stop asking questions to ghosts that don't talk back. This world keeps moving forward, and you should too. Learn the lesson, forget the weight, lighten your heart, tighten your grip on today, and go build something from the ashes. You owe yourself that. There's this thing about the past. It's got hands, cold ones, and it loves to grip. It'll wrap itself around your neck, your ankles, your heart, whispering that you'll never outrun it, that what you did, what happened to you, what you lost defines you. But that's a lie, a clever one. The past is real, yeah. But it's not the architect. It's just the blueprint. You're the one who decides what the building looks like. People act like the past is a sentence carved in stone, like it can't be changed. But here's the truth. It's not about changing the facts. It's about changing the meaning. You don't erase what happened. You evolve because of it. The pain, the mess-ups, the bad decisions, the hurt. They're not there to haunt you. They're there to mold you, to give your life texture, depth, character. Like, yeah, you've been through stuff. So what? That means you've got stories in your blood. That means you're not some blank slate. You're layered. You're seasoned. You've got grit. But what most people do is let the past chain them. They replay every wrong turn like it's a movie on loop. They let shame take the driver's seat. They let fear hold the pen and write their next chapter. That's how you stay stuck. That's how you stay small. When the past tries to hold you back, remind yourself it's not the jailer, it's the teacher. And teachers don't hold you hostage, they prepare you for what's next. So take the lessons. Take the scars, wear them like armor, not shackles. You know what's wild? The way people treat their mistakes like death sentences. Like one wrong move means the whole game's over. Like tripping once means you're not meant to walk. But that's not how life works, and it sure as hell isn't how growth works. Mistakes aren't proof that you're broken. They're proof that you tried. Proof that you stepped out, took a swing, lived. And yeah, maybe you missed. Maybe you hit the wall instead of the mark. So what? That's where the real learning kicks in. Mistakes don't come to destroy you. They come to wake you up. They shake you by the shoulders and say, hey, pay attention. They make you pause, reflect, reassess. Without them, we'd just coast. Never questioning, never adapting, never growing. A perfect record is nothing if it's built on fear. But a messy one filled with falls, stumbles, and comebacks, that's where wisdom lives. See, the world wants you to think that messing up means you're less worthy, less smart, less ready. But the truth is, mistakes are the forge. They burn, yeah, but they also shape. And what they shape is resilience. What they leave behind, if you let them, is understanding. You start to see patterns. You learn who you are under pressure. You figure out what not to do again. You get sharper, wiser. but only if you let them teach you. If you keep dragging your mistakes around like chains, then yeah, they'll weigh you down. But if you sit with them, if you face them head on and say, all right, what are you trying to show me? Then suddenly that failure becomes a lesson, a stepping stone, a spark. It's all about how you carry it. Look, pain is loud, it echoes, it clings to your bones and wraps itself around your memories. When something hurts you, really hits you where it counts, it's hard to see past the sting. The betrayal, the heartbreak, the disappointment, the shame, it all leaves this residue. And for a while you sit in it, you replay it, you carry it in your eyes, in your voice, in the way you walk through the world. That's natural. Pain demands to be felt. But staying stuck in that pain, that's not healing, that's not growth, that's just surviving in a loop. What you need to do is sift through it, pull the lesson out from under the wreckage and leave the rest behind. You're not meant to carry all of it forever. The lesson, that's the part that strengthens you. That's the wisdom you walk away with. That's the blueprint for how not to end up in that same pit again. But the pain, the heaviness, you've got to learn how to let that go. People get it twisted. They think letting go of pain means they're forgetting what happened, like they're betraying themselves or pretending it didn't matter. But no, it mattered. It mattered so much that you decided to learn from it instead of letting it rot inside you. That's what real growth looks like. It's quiet, it's slow, it's not flashy or perfect, but it's powerful. It's you saying, yeah, I've been hurt, but I'm not letting that hurt define who I become. It's you choosing to walk lighter, even if the world tried to make you carry boulders. It's standing at the edge of everything that tried to break you and choosing to build something better out of it. Growth doesn't come from pain alone. It comes from what you do with that pain, from how you rise from it, how you dig through the rubble and find the gem of truth that was buried in all the hurt. We talk a lot about forgiving others, letting go of what they did, moving on, making peace. But the hardest person to forgive, it's always you. You know your own story too well. You know all the choices you could have made but didn't, the words you wish you could take back, the people you let down, the chances you missed, the nights you stayed silent when your voice was needed. It's all in there, sitting heavy in your chest. But here's the truth. You can't move forward while you're still dragging yourself through the mud. You can't heal if all you do is replay your failures on repeat like some kind of punishment reel. What's done is done. You felt the guilt. You faced the weight. But there comes a moment when you have to stop bleeding for a version of you that didn't know better. Forgiving yourself doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean excusing the pain you might have caused. It just means recognizing that you're human, that you were learning, struggling, maybe even breaking. And even then, you were doing your best with what you had, with who you were. You wouldn't judge a friend as harshly as you judge yourself. So why hold yourself hostage in that old story? Why let your reflection become your own enemy? When you finally sit with yourself and say, yeah, I messed up, but I'm still worthy, that's when something shifts. That's when the air clears. That's when the weight starts to lift, piece by piece, because forgiveness isn't about erasing the past. It's about setting yourself free from it. It's about loosening the grip shame has on your throat and finally breathing again. You can't build something new if your hands are still full of regret. You've got to release it. Not because you don't care, but because you do. You care enough to want to grow. You care enough to say that chapter doesn't define my whole book. And that kind of care, that's power. That's courage. That's the moment everything starts to change. Do you ever try to run with a 100-pound backpack strapped to your shoulders? That's what holding on to the past feels like. Every memory that cuts deep, every grudge you cradle, every what if and should have and why did this happen to me, those are the bricks weighing you down. And yeah, they feel familiar. comfortable even. Sometimes pain becomes a place we live in because it's easier than stepping into the unknown. But the price you pay, it's your now. It's your next. The past has a way of blinding you. It puts a filter over your eyes so that even when something beautiful shows up in front of you, you don't see it for what it is. You see it through the lens of what went wrong before. You start expecting the same heartbreak. You second guess the good stuff. You sabotage opportunities because your wounds convince you that you don't deserve them. And all the while, life is moving on. The sun keeps rising, the world keeps spinning, but you're stuck in rewind. When you cling to what already happened, you miss what's happening right now. You miss the people who care about you now, the chances you have to grow, to laugh, to start over. Those chances pass by while you're still having conversations in your head with ghosts that aren't listening. You hold tight to what hurt you, but in doing that, you're giving it more power than it ever deserved. And the worst part, the future that's waiting for you, it starts to fade. Dreams get smaller. Confidence shrinks. You stop imagining more for yourself because you've convinced yourself you're defined by the damage. But that's not truth. That's fear. That's trauma wearing the mask of logic. You weren't made to live in rewind. Life is not a loop. It's a journey forward. And the longer you keep your eyes glued to the rearview mirror, the more likely you are to crash into what's coming. You've got to learn when to let go, not to forget, but to finally make space for something better, for peace, for joy, for the kind of life that's not haunted by echoes, because the past is done talking. It's time to listen to what the present's trying to say. Your story is sacred, all of it. The good days, the heartbreaks, the chaos, the quiet victories no one ever saw. Every scar, every choice, every broken moment, they made you. They gave you depth. They shaped your voice. And they matter. They deserve to be honored, not erased. But there's a fine line between honoring your past and being trapped by it. You're allowed to look back and say, that was real, that was hard, that changed me, but you're not required to carry it like a name tag that says, this is all I am. See, your story explains where you've been, but it doesn't get to decide where you're going. You're more than the worst thing that ever happened to you. You're more than the mistake that keeps echoing in your head. You're more than the title people gave you when they didn't understand your journey. The world loves to put people in boxes, to label them by their past, to say, oh, that's the person who, but you don't have to stay there. You're not required to keep playing a character in a story that doesn't serve your soul anymore. There's strength in honoring your journey, owning it, standing tall in it, saying, that was part of my path. But worth isn't built on your track record. It's built into you. You were worthy on your worst day just as much as you are on your best. Nothing you've done, nothing you've been through can change that truth. You don't have to hide your past to grow. You just have to stop letting it hold the pen. Let it be a chapter, not the title. Let it be something you learn from, not something you shrink for. When you carry your story with grace, without shame, without letting it rule your every move, that's where real freedom starts. That's where self-worth starts being a question and starts becoming a fact. Not because you've been perfect, but because you've been real. And real will always be enough. We're taught to hold on, to grip tight, to keep fighting for what once was, to prove something to the world, to ourselves. And somewhere along the way, we start thinking that letting go means giving up. Like if you walk away from what hurt you, you're weak. Like if you stop chasing after someone who never saw your worth, you're the quitter. But nah, letting go, that's not weakness. That's choosing peace over pride. That's choosing growth over pain. That's choosing yourself. See, holding on can feel safe. It's familiar. Even when it burns, it's what you know. The habit of it, the echo of it, it becomes part of you. But strength Strength is when you look that old story in the face and say, you don't get to run me anymore. It's when you choose to stop watering dead plants. When you stop showing up to battles that were never yours to fight. When you stop trying to rewrite what's already been written. That takes courage. That takes backbone. Letting go is choosing to stop bleeding for something that's already gone. It's realizing that not everything broken is meant to be fixed. It's recognizing that sometimes closure doesn't come in the form of answers or apologies. It comes from you deciding to move forward anyway. That's power. That's real maturity. And let's be real, people will call it cold. They'll say you changed, that you gave up too easy, but they don't know the war you fought just to get to this point. They don't know the nights you stayed up overthinking, the tears you hid in silence, the way you twisted yourself into knots trying to hold it all together. So no, you didn't give up, you grew up. You learn that protecting your energy matters. You learn that walking away isn't abandoning, it's choosing to survive, to thrive, to take back control of your own story. And when you let go of what's no longer for you, you're not losing. You're making room. Room for new beginnings. Room for healing. Room for joy that doesn't come with conditions. That kind of strength, it changes everything. Letting go doesn't mean you forget who you are. It means you remember who you are beneath all the noise. It means you choose to rise even with trembling hands. You stop dancing with your shadows and start stepping into your light. You stop waiting for permission to be free. Because freedom isn't in the past. It's not in what's already been done, already said, already lost.